Welcome to Cool But Rude, a TMNT rewatch podcast. Today, we're going to be doing a special episode and going over the TMNT movie from 1990. Stay tuned. Welcome back. I'm one of your hosts, Christopher.
I'm Robert.
I'm Mike.
And like I said in the intro, today we're going over the TMNT movie from 1990. So the first actual film, not animated, not live action, just actual movie. And it happened to be live action. So, I mean, we've been talking about doing this for a while, right, guys?
Yeah, we have. What do you guys remember about when this came out? I feel like for me, the fact that it was live action was like a huge, that was big at the time because, this wasn't a time where special effects were just like, you can make anything you want at any time like it is now. So just the kind of, I don't know, there was something really neat at the time that was like, wow, they're making a live action Ninja Turtles.
100% agree. Yeah, I was I don't even remember being hyped about it in the sense of leading up to it because I was probably so young, but
yeah,
I remember it happening and enjoying the shit out of it. I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. And yeah, it was just God's gift to kids at that point because I was and it looked,
yeah.
And even now, watching it again, it looks, in my opinion, it looks decent. It holds up. The practical effects look good.
I agree. I don't remember any parts where I was where I didn't feel like it held up, whereas this looks dumb or super fake. No, I thought I was actually pretty impressed.
Yeah.
Mike?
Same.
What do you remember about it from when you were little?
It's difficult to, like you were saying, Chris, I don't remember how my hype was leading up to it, but I do remember wanting to. It was no question that I was going to see it. It's one of those things it's just a given. Mm-hmm. It's a Ninja Turtles thing. And it was the first big thing because you had the cartoon, you had the video game, and now you have the movie. So it's just every Ninja Turtle thing that came out, it was just a given, that you were going to partake at some point. So that's how. It was just okay, well, when am I going to see it? When you guys taking me to see it? So, it was just a matter of waiting, the anticipation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that kind of describes my experience also. It's well, the Ninja Turtles movie's out. When are we going to go see it?
Right.
Yeah. Not a matter of if, but yeah, no. And sure enough, I saw it and, I loved it. And even though I definitely have some, my memory of it wasn't the best. It's because it's been a minute. I actually, for some reason, I thought the Vanilla Ice song was in this one, but it's not. It's in the second one.
I did too.
Me too. Yep.
So yeah, this one it's got Turtle Power, which is at the end credits. And it's pretty. I don't know. I think it's still a pretty decent song. I mean, it kind of vibes with it. But it's not as iconic, as Go Ninja Go or something like that. So
no.
So yeah, but even just like I said, rewatching it and seeing it, I was just wow, this is actually, it holds up. There was definitely some parts that I thought were a little more, for some reason I felt like I was enjoying the moments where there's slow moments in the movie where you could see the turtles just doing everyday stuff, chit chatting amongst each other or waiting on the pizza guy or practicing them. Whereas in the cartoon, you never got that. It was because it's 25 minutes. And it's go, go, go. And little kids aren't going to really necessarily want to watch that, I guess.
Yeah, they'd be why are we just watching them sit around,
chit chat,
playing checkers or something here?
Yeah. Whereas in the way they did it here, it was just because I remember specifically there's a scene where Michelangelo is a stickler for, that 30 minutes or less thing the Domino's had. And
yeah,
he was, he's on the phone. He's just giving the guy his order. And he's clock's ticking. And he hangs up.
Yeah, I noticed that. I was damn, you're telling him right off the bat that you're watching the clock. Wow.
Yeah, I was balls on this guy.
It's a power move.
Yeah, turtle power move.
Turtle power move.
But and then like later on, like I guess 30 minutes later, he's sitting there and Donatello rolls up on him. Who is Donatello? Who I don't know if y'all knew is voiced by Corey Feldman.
Oh wow, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's Corey Feldman. So yeah. And then he's like the only I don't know, I hate to say like celebrity amongst turtles, but he is. But and then so he's like shooting the breeze with Mikey and they're waiting on like this sewer grate. And this poor pizza guy like rolls up and he's just like, where is, whatever in an eighth. Like they made their address an eighth.
Yeah, like Harry Potter style.
Yeah, it's like and even in real life, I've seen like halves or I've seen southwests.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, but I've never seen like obviously like an eighth is like they're playing it.
That's
up.
Very specific.
Yeah, they're playing it up for being like in a sewer, and he takes like $3 off the check. Michelangelo is bold enough to say like $3 off, and like gives the guy a 10. And I was like, what? You're telling him what you're going to pay? I was like, what the fuck? How does that work? I was like, I don't know. The 90s or 80s must have been a trip because I didn't realize you could do that.
No tip either.
Oh, shit, dude. He took the money off the tab. Like, he thinks this man's getting a tip?
Real quick. Is it all right with you if we sit back for a second and I'll give like a brief plot synopsis?
Yeah.
So for anybody who's listening who's not familiar, who hasn't seen the movie, and shit, like even me, I didn't remember just about anything what the plot was about. But just a real quick version. So there's a big crime wave going on in New York in April. It starts off kind of with April reporting on it. Shredder doesn't like this. He sees her on the news, talking about it. So he basically orders the Foot to go after her. They do, and it happens to be the Turtles that save her. Kind of very similar to how the first episode is. The Foot Clan kind of finds their home. They kind of like one guy kind of follows them back and finds out where they live. And then later on, they capture Splinter because they know where Splinter is. Cut forward a little bit. Raphael gets caught alone by the Foot Clan at one point. He gets beat up really badly. And some other stuff happens, but basically they take him. He's alive but unconscious. They run off to an abandoned farm, which I think is April's or like April's family's, for Raphael to heal and for them to kind of hide out from the Foot for a while. While they're there, Leonardo is meditating and he has kind of not a vision, but like he hears Splinter like speaking, like kind of reaching out and talking to him. And so he realizes that Splinter's still alive. They do kind of a seance thing out in the woods, all four of them, and they sort of conjure Splinter's spirit, and he kind of gives them some advice, and then they decide to go after him and save him. Kind of in the midst of all this, there are two other characters that have popped up, Danny and Casey Jones. Danny is a kid who is April's boss's son who's gotten caught up in the Foot Clan, because kind of the Foot Clan, the whole deal in this one is they're not robots. They are like juvenile delinquents who it kind of the way it's sort of framed is like they're kids who maybe don't have like a good home life or whatever. And Shredder is kind of giving them a family, but in exchange for that family, they have to do stuff for them, like steal shit all over the city. Casey Jones is a vigilante who Raphael meets one day when he is like kind of out on the streets, and Raphael stops these two guys who stole somebody's purse, and then Casey Jones basically shows up and he's like, hey, why are you letting these guys go? And Raphael's like, well, like I already kind of roughed them up. They've learned their lesson. He's like, no, they haven't. Like he's ready to take it to the next level. But his thing is he likes using sports equipment as weapons. So whether it's cricket bats, baseball bats, golf clubs, whatever, hockey sticks. So in the midst of all this, they've kind of met up with them. And without getting too in the weeds, they both sort of help them find Splinter. In the end, it kind of culminates with a fight against Shredder. It's the Turtles versus Shredder, and they're on a rooftop. And Shredder is able to just take them all on. But then Splinter shows up because Danny and Casey Jones actually freed him from where he was kind of being kept prisoner. And Splinter shows up at the last second, and Shredder sort of like rushes him. And Splinter basically kind of like just uses his momentum against him and kind of like uses his aggression and sort of sidesteps / throws him and kind of also uses a nunchuck that Michelangelo had dropped to toss him off the building. And he lands in a... Well, we'll talk about this scene more specifically later, but basically he dies from that. Or, you know, he supposedly dies from falling off the building. So that's the basic... That's the quick version of the movie.
Yeah, that's a good high level.
Channel 3 news, huh?
Yeah, not 6. And April she's a street reporter, but her boss isn't Byrne, you know?
Nope.
So good for you.
It's Charles.
Yeah, good for you, Mike.
Got rid of that man.
They finally got rid of him.
Yeah, were you happy about that? But we should probably also mention that the movie is a lot darker than the cartoon, and it's pretty clear that they're going more for the feel of the comics than the cartoon.
Yes.
And even though 99% of all kids watching it probably never even read the comics.
Yeah.
Or if they had, they were at least much more familiar with the cartoon anyway. But this is a darker take. Not so. I mean, yes, there are funny, goofy parts, but it's not just all lighthearted the whole time. Mike, what were you going to say?
Oh, the actor that played, what was it? Chief Stearns. He would have made a good Byrne.
I could have seen that.
Oh yeah. I can see that.
Just his demeanor and the way he spoke. That classic police chief. You know, yelling would have been good for exactly that boss type tone. That would have been good for Byrne.
What was like that angle? Like, I never really understood what his angle was in the movie, because he's like putting a squeeze on April's boss. But I'm like, what's his? Like, is he working with the Shredder? Like, what the fuck is going on here?
That's what I thought at first, but then it doesn't seem like it, because at the end,
right.
Isn't he just like, all right, good job? Or like he said, like he doesn't seem pissed off at the end.
Like, was he just being annoyed by being made to look bad because the city was like overrun with crime?
That's probably the best guess that I would have. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't clear to me either.
Yeah, I really thought they were setting him up also to be like in cahoots with Shredder.
Yeah, like some sort of secondary villain.
But then it doesn't turn out to be the case. Yeah.
I do like, though, from the get-go, how they're using, like, similar in the cartoon, at least, they're in a trench coat kind of get up with the fedora.
Yes, that was actually pretty cool. I thought that was a neat kind of reference to the cartoon.
And like the cartoon, all you have to do is just have the trench coat. You don't have to cover your face or your head, and people will think that you're in costume.
Well, he had a hat.
Yes, the hat. Yes, the hat is crucial.
Oh, yeah, because you don't ever see what's underneath the hat and the trench coat.
No.
I mean, does everybody in the city have, like, some massive, like, cataracts or something? Because,
yes.
like, Casey was literally looking at him and couldn't tell that he was a turtle until he took his, like, gear off.
That's just turtle universe lore.
Yes.
That's just how it is.
All right.
Which I thought that was actually, I kind of liked that they kept that, because it's so dumb. It doesn't make any sense, but it's so specific. Yeah. And I was like, oh yeah, this is how it is. Yeah. Good job, guys.
Raphael's just walking in a crosswalk with everybody else.
And he makes it clear that he does it regularly.
Oh yeah, he's like, I'm going to a movie.
Yeah. Which by the way, since we're talking about Raph, I really couldn't get past his voice. Like,
yeah.
Again, I know they're not going for the cartoon, but out of all of them, his voice was just too much. Like, I'm going to a movie. That okay with you? Like, like, jeez, dial it back, please.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I wasn't really feeling his, and really, Raphael's my favorite character or favorite turtle, but not in this movie. I was like, wow, that is they really doubled down on that New York accent there.
Yes.
And then, like, they just made him so aggro. Like, I know he's like the hothead but like, he never in the cartoon. Like to me, he never came across as the hothead. He just came across as like the dick.
He's like cocky.
Yeah,
right?
he's like but also like
he's not an asshole.
Like, I mean, well, like, he kind of came off as an asshole in the sense of like he was always like had something to say. Like,
okay,
he's
true.
Cool but rude, but he was never like out there like rage fighting.
Yeah. Okay. That's it.
And Raphael was like, that's his whole shtick. Like that was he is the angry turtle. It's just like, okay. Like I was actually more into Donnie and Mike. This one, I was like, oh, these guys are fun. Even though I feel like they kind of, I don't know if they really like hit the mark. I mean, once again, I don't know. Like I keep comparing it to the cartoon, even though it's probably not. But it's like I don't feel like they synced up their personalities to the cartoon as well as they could have.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Mike, did you have an issue with Raphael's voice?
Yeah, what's your take?
No, these takes are kind of the opposite of what I had written down.
Wow.
Because I wrote that they did a good job of matching the personalities from the cartoons, but they turned Raphael up to 1,000 for the sake of movie drama.
Yes.
This is the big picture. This is the big event, unprecedented. And now they need to have some kind of extra to lure more moviegoers in of all ages to get that box office. And so I understand why they made Raph the way he was. It was a plot device and it worked well to give a bit of an edge, like you guys were saying earlier, more of a darker tone and an additional edge for the movie's sake. So I get why they did that. No, I don't have an issue with his voice. I actually thought it was pretty good. I really liked all the voicing in the movie. And I really liked, you kind of touched on it, Chris, I liked Mikey and Donnie's, their dynamic. Yes. It was like they were the always the ones in the corner, like laughing and instigating, or
I like that too.
Uh-oh, mom and dad's fighting. Let's run to the kitchen and make fun of them or something. So
yeah.
They were like
that was really cool.
Yeah. I like that. But no, I thought they really did a good job at they didn't, I mean, you don't have like the nerdy archetype for Donnie. We didn't really get any of that.
Right.
But especially Michelangelo, I feel they had him spot on, and his voice was also great.
Yeah, I think his voice was good.
Donnie's voice was good as well. I liked all of the voices. I can get what you guys are saying about Raph's, but I didn't feel that way. I thought he did a really good job. Thought it was fitting for the personality that they were trying to portray for Raph.
Yeah, in that context, it works. It does. For that uber aggro type. And also it works for the plot because it gives Splinter somebody to like, kind of temper and to like, and then it creates that extra bond. So it hurts even more when something happens to Splinter, which we see when he gets kidnapped. And it's like Raphael is the one that rages out. He's just like, oh, this is like, and I remember that specifically as a kid when that happened. They like Raphael freaking losing his cool.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say even the Donnie Michelangelo like duo thing, like even at the end during the big boss fight, they're the only two left, and they have to play like rock paper scissors.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, to see who's gonna try to fight Shredder next.
Yeah,
right.
That was pretty good. Yeah, that they really did. I do agree. The characterization of those two in particular and their like dynamic together was really fun.
How do you guys feel about April? Like they did her the one, at least I saw her one time, like when she is leaving Channel 3, she's in a giant yellow trench coat or raincoat. Which is like, kind of like nod to her jumpsuit. But beyond that, it's like that's kind of where the similarities end.
You think so?
I didn't really think of it that way. I mean, that was the only really overt reference to cartoon April, but overall I was actually pretty surprised with how happy I was with how they wrote her, and how she was acting and writing wise. I thought she was very good, actually.
I agree.
For some reason I had set myself up I was just expecting her to not be very good. I don't know why in my head. That's just what I expected. But I thought she was cool. I thought she was a cool character. And I thought the actress played her very well.
I actually liked her better than her cartoon counterpart. She wasn't as like bitchy.
Oh, you like her more?
Yeah.
Okay.
Man, wow, that's big.
Yeah, April in the show gets on my nerves. Like, lady, just stop. Like, you're so thirsty for a scoop. You're always whining about like shit. Once you begged basically to get into it, it's just like, what?
Now there was one part where Casey Jones tells her that he was like, sorry, I got some news for you. Your boss, when we were in that building that caught on fire, your boss called and left a message and you're fired. And she was like, just like complete ungrateful bitch, basically. Like she starts yelling at him for basically telling her that.
Yeah, I thought that was odd. Like she was like talking about killing the messenger.
Yeah. She really goes off on him too.
Yeah.
And then they have like the aggressive makeup session later where he like slams her down in a seat and starts giving her a massage.
Oh yes.
Super awkward.
Like, oh, okay. What was your take, Mike, on the April thing?
Did you like her?
I think I agree with Robert on this. I did like her. I liked her acting. I liked her portrayal. I think they nailed a lot of the aspects of April. Her kind of go-getting attitude. She didn't appear weak at all. She wasn't like some damsel in distress or any kind of stereotype like that. She was a fun character. She added a lot to the movie. Yeah, and the actress, I don't remember any of these actors, man. I swear. Like I was looking for familiar faces or, oh, that was him and he was in this and that afterwards. Nah, I don't remember anybody out of this movie. And April is the same. So I just think she did a really good job though.
Well, now that you mentioned it, that brings me to 2 points. There was 2 actors I recognized.
Okay.
One of them was Casey. His name is Elias Koteas. He's a character actor. I've seen a bunch of stuff, seen a bunch of TV shows. And so that was Casey Jones, but I don't know if you recognized, sounds like no, but there was the lead punk, the guy in the white shirt. That was Sam Rockwell.
The name means
really?
Yeah. He played.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. I remember seeing him and I was like, who is that? I was like, I recognize that kid. Who that? Like, I recognize him in the adult form of him, but I could not place it, and I didn't go to look it up. That's amazing.
Yeah, he's come a long way.
Who is this now?
Sam Rockwell. He was in. He played, I think, one of the guards in Green Mile. No, he played a killer in Green Mile. He was in Moon. He was in Iron Man 2. He played Justin Hammer. Like.
Moon is a great movie, by the way. Just on the side note.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm the least cultured here. The uncultured swine of this group. I don't recognize names or I forget faces immediately, so I'm real bad at this stuff.
Yeah, no, I saw him, I was like, oh snap. But how did you guys feel about Casey?
Mike, why don't you take the lead on this one?
He was another fun character. I mean, he's got a couple of lines that wouldn't fly nowadays, but that's the dialogue.
Oh, what were they? I don't know if I caught that.
Oh, he made the claustrophobic joke.
What's that?
Mistaking that for a different phobic.
Yeah, like because once they get into the sewer, like after they return back from the ranch house or farmhouse, Casey's like uncomfortable in the lair. And like one of the turtles is like, "Oh, you're claustrophobic." And he's like, "What? I never even looked at another man."
You're right.
And
so that wouldn't fly.
Whoa!
Like scared of tight spaces.
Yeah. Oh man, I missed that.
Then there was a Mike Tyson joke in there that also wouldn't fly. But again, his portrayal, the actor was spot on. I mean, he reminded me of the 2012 Nickelodeon series Casey more than the cartoon Casey, because if I remember correctly, and you guys help me remember here, but I feel like the cartoon or the 87 series cartoon Casey was more of a very serious and kind of dark and mysterious, had the like raspy voice, talk like that, like Batman almost kind of character in the cartoon. Isn't that more like how they portrayed him?
I don't remember.
I don't remember enough either. No,
zero recall.
You see, I just remember the voice. Maybe he just had a Batmanish voice, but maybe he was. I don't know. But he was goofy and fun and funny in this iteration. He was a good fighter and all that stuff. He had all his staple hockey sticks and his face mask. I think they really did a good job. I enjoyed that character. His little relationships with the Turtles reminded me of the 2012 series, how him and Raph always butt heads, or him and Donnie actually butt heads over April in that series.
Wow.
And now we got him and Raph, bumping heads as fighters or whatever. It was good. I liked it.
Yeah, I did like his dynamic with Donatello though. Like, they had that like bonding moment at the farm where they were like talking trash about like, Gilligan's Island and like working on that truck together.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
So I guess that may have leaned into Donatello's like tech aspect. Like that could have been them kind of like giving a nod to that.
Oh, right.
I thought he was really cool, actually. And this was another part, another character that I was surprised that I liked so much because, again, not remembering much, I kind of in my head imagined that they pretty much wrote him in as like an edgelord kind of guy.
Oh, right.
But he wasn't. He was just pretty cool character. And like even like like with the mask on and with the mask off, both versions of him were pretty cool, I thought.
What did you think of him, Chris?
I loved him. This is like where I think probably my love for Casey came from, just because.
Oh, the movie?
Yeah, I don't know. He was just super cool from the get go. I liked how he wanted to like rough up the juveniles, delinquents, the JVs. And Raph's like, no, blah, blah. He's like, all right, well then I'll rough you up because I'm roughing somebody up.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, all right, that's cool. And he's got this like token move where he like swings in an upward motion and throws somebody across the room.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I was like, wow. So he just goes like, this man is trying to kill people. That's awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. Casey was tight. I like the actor, and he also had like that kind of like confidence to a degree where he's just like even says like it's a gift. Like, after he like whoops some of my foot soldier asses, and it's just like, all right, yeah, he was he was a good like addition.
I know that this is just a staple of the character, but I feel like it's also something that kind of gets taken for granted because it's so just like a basic part of him. But just stepping back a little bit, I love how he loves using sports equipment so much. Like
yes.
That's like he doesn't just use sports equipment. Like he really likes picking out which particular thing he's going to use at a given time.
Yeah. It's like his preference. And like, he looks at each one as like an instrument. I'm like, okay.
Mm-hmm. And when he there's that one part where he's fighting, what's the guy's name who's just below Shredder? Did he get it? I mean, I'm sure he's got a name. I don't remember him being called a name.
Tatsu. Yeah. Master Tatsu.
Tatsu. When there's that fight between those two and he pulls out the golf club and kisses it before he starts using it. Like that was great. But so yeah, I was surprised and very happy with how kind of cool of a character he turned out to be.
Yeah, definitely. Even his dynamic with April, I mean, it was a cheesy romantic part of the movie, but I think they even did that well. They had a good chemistry, I feel.
Yeah, he still managed to be cool during those parts. It didn't just completely turn. Yeah, so the romance itself may have been kind of like a typical cheesy romance, but the character did not turn into cheesy and start doing cheesy stuff. Really, he just kind of like did the stuff, but was still kind of managed to stay cool during it. One thing I forgot to mention real quick when we were talking about the pizza delivery, that Domino's pizza looked absolutely disgusting. Did y'all note like when there's that one part where one of the pieces falls upside down on Splinter's head, and it's like it looks like just cheese dip is pouring off of the pizza onto his head.
I mean, it's fresh. That's like 30 minutes or less.
That's not what happens when a pizza turns upside down. It doesn't just pour off.
It did look like glue or something.
Oh,
Like, it looks so bad. I was thinking to myself, I can't believe Domino's actually allowed them to make the pizza look like this.
Dang.
I just understood the joke or the reference when Danny offers them pizza later in the movie, and Donatello's like, "Do you want it with, or do you want your with or without penicillin?" And I was like,
"Oh yeah, because it's been sitting there so old in the sewer."
And like, and just this last watch, I caught the reference. So I was like, "Oh, okay, I get it now." And then they're like they're playing like taps, you know.
Do we have to add penicillin pizza to our list?
Hell no.
The movies are non-canon when it comes to that list.
Yeah, that's jive don't apply. Because remember, they don't even like anchovies. They were adamant not to have anchovies on their pizza. Whereas they mess with anchovies a lot in the cartoon.
But I think that was they just didn't want it on this particular pizza.
It was
like
really,
they just weren't in an anchovies mood, is what I think.
I don't know. When there's times when I'm not like in a pepperoni mood or a jalapeno mood, but I never say like you better not put any pepperoni on there. No, I don't hate pepperoni when I'm not in the mood for it. I just rather not have it. But these guys were like, "I'm gonna kill you. You put some anchovies on this pizza." It was like Mike doesn't play, and I thought it was a lot of work for one pizza. Like, I thought he was going to bust out like a 4-stack or something to me. And then when he was delivering them, but it was just one pie. I was just like, I was a little disappointed. I was like, oh, I thought these guys were pizza lovers.
Just the one. Did we talk about their entrance into the movie when they are saving April? That also reminded me of the first episode of the cartoon where you just see shadows. Mm-hmm. Saving her and stuff. They pretty much did the exact same thing. Just about, you just see like turtle hands and stuff and like weapons flying around, like the bad guys flying around,
silhouettes. Yeah.
And then of course Raphael drops one of his sais, and that's the only thing that's left behind. But then the last thing you see is them just kind of lowering the sewer lid. You don't really get a good peek at him. That was I don't know if that was on purpose, but if it is, that was pretty cool because it's neat little introduction where you don't really get to see him yet all the way. You just kind of get a tease. And it's just like how they did in the cartoon. Of course, 2 scenes later, then it just straight up shows him walking in the sewer, but it was still a pretty cool scene.
All the trolls are all happy. They're all like, well, except for Raphael.
Yeah, he's pissed because he lost his sai.
Yeah. And did you all notice that Michelangelo, at least from what I saw, only had one nunchuck?
I didn't think about that, but yeah, I think I guess you're right.
I was like, oh, okay. And then I loved it when, like, a few scenes later after the turtles save April, she pulls out the sai, like she knows how to use this thing. Like, yeah. She's going to defend herself on the subway.
Right. Don't they just knock it out of her hand pretty much?
Yeah. Like, bonk. And then Raphael has to come and save her again.
Did y'all think this was as funny as I did? When they're in when they're at the farm, in the cabin, the little farmhouse or whatever, Raphael has still not come to, but like he's still alive, and it shows where they put him.
Oh my god, dude! Like that was so like, I was like, did they just throw his body in him?
Yeah, they just like fucking dumped him in the bathtub.
Man was not comfortable either.
That was
all on his side.
No respect on that shit.
No pillow, no blanket.
Not a damn thing. I was surprised he had water in there.
Bro,
yeah,
nothing soft.
No, he's like one of his, like he's halfway hanging out of it almost.
It's like totally crumpled. Like, yeah, they did not even try.
No,
it's like, damn, get this man a kiddie pool or something. Shit,
real.
Yeah. I guess, yeah, the whole idea, not with his position, but with the bathtub itself was, I guess, like, to get him in water. I guess that's, because, like, turtles like water, so that's going to help him heal or whatever.
Yeah.
But he was just tossed in there so haphazardly.
It was rough. Now, I'm glad you brought that up because that caught me off guard when I saw it. But let's talk about, because as a kid, the scene, the scene that led up to that, like, I'm not gonna say traumatized me because that's a strong word, but definitely left its mark. Like, I remember vividly, like, not necessarily the entire part, but like the idea that Raphael was on his own and getting the shit beat out of him while the other turtles were like just like goofing off.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember also vividly the axes hitting the kitchen floor. I don't know why, but that like stuck in my head.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
I was like, oh snap. Yeah, and then like obviously that's after, but the whole thing was, you know, like Raphael's like blowing off steam after getting into this fight with Leonardo, where they kind of established that Leo was the de facto leader of the turtles.
Mm-hmm.
And Raph goes upstairs on the roof and like he's like shadow boxing or whatever, getting venting, and he gets jumped by the foot.
And he's able to kind of handle him at first.
Yeah.
Then eventually there's just too many.
He's like, guys, like, how do you expect me to like, or he's like, says, like, how do you guys expect to take me on or whatever? And then like a dozen more show up. He's like, good answer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He's like, and like the crazy like coincidence is the whole time, like Casey is actually spectating. He sees something going on. Yeah. And like a rooftop away or a couple rooftops away. He like, I was like, okay. And that explains how he's able to like eventually, you know, after the end of the fight almost, like, because the fight changes scenes. Like, it goes from Raphael getting his ass beat by himself to the kitchen in April's apartment. So the roof is just above April's apartment. And then the floor caves in because of the damn foot soldiers. And now you're in April's antique house or antique shop that was opened by her father or some shit. And it progresses and the fight's getting worse and the turtles are getting their ass kicked, you know. And Casey shows up at the end and he's able to like give them enough of a break that they can like find the secret exit. And I love how she's just like, there should be a secret exit, or like there used to be a secret exit. It's just like, bitch, like this is your shop. Don't you know where the doors are in this house? Like, so they're able to find it and they all escape. And he's like, I'll cover you. And like all the turtles like hightail it out of there and Casey follows them. So it's a very cool scene. But it was just like that whole situation, like that span of time, I was just like, oh crap, like Raphael's getting jacked.
It was hard on little young Chris.
Yeah. I don't think I'm alone.
Little young Mike as well.
Yeah, see, like that was my favorite turtle.
Specifically, it was when he got thrown through the skylight.
Yes.
That specific scene, that visual, and then related to it, but not that same scene. It's just the imagery of, I think I told you guys this before. Yeah, I have. Leo in the bathroom, like keeping watch over Raph after in the bathtub or whatever. Yep. Just that image of Leo stuck with me all throughout my life, even as an adult. And it was one of those things that I would have dreams about. Just him sitting there, but it was always, he was not in the bathroom because it was a kind of a significant thing for me because it was a recurring dream. One of the few experiences of a recurring dream that I've ever had. But it was always Leo, but he was beat up in that position like Raphael. So he was all bloodied and scarred up, but sitting in that same position that he was sitting up against that door in the bathroom, kind of slumped over or whatever. And he was always in a sewer instead of the bathroom. And it's like whenever I thought about that, after I would have that dream, I would get like actually physically kind of like woozy and a little nauseous or whatever. It's a very odd thing, but that specific thing. So yeah, you're talking about leaving a mark. That imagery, even more so than Raph getting thrown to the skylight, that imagery of Leo slumped over, that stuck with me throughout my life. So it did something to me. I don't know what it did, but yeah, that got me. I mean, because we had never seen the Turtles in this light before. Like you said, none of us were readers of the comics. So we didn't know. And at that time, as children, we didn't even know that comic existed. So all we knew of the Turtles was this happy-go-lucky cartoon that we watch every Saturday or whatever. Yeah. Nobody really gets hurt. There's no real
repercussions or nothing.
Yes, exactly. And now here we are, one of our beloved heroes is beat up and they're talking about, is he alive? Barely. Someone said barely. So you're like, okay, man, this man, he might die. That's the first time we ever had to deal with, something like that with this set of heroes. And maybe possibly in our young lives facing any kind of hero or someone that we look up to like that, maybe dying. So that was an impactful scene, I feel like, man, for a lot of kids. Almost like Optimus Prime dying, but whichever franchise you were more fan of.
Mm-hmm.
True.
So I'm with you, man.
Yeah, that was a big deal, and once again, that was also in the team, the Transformer movie when that happened.
The movie, right?
Yeah, they always leave for these. Yeah, the movie. Something happens.
Yeah. What about you, Robert? Did you have any like very, very prominent or striking memories come back to you?
Not really. No, just the biggest thing that I would say I remember is just the look of the costumes. Just in general. I didn't have a specific scene stand out. And like, I do definitely remember Raphael getting beat up. And I remember thinking I remember that being like as a kid, like that was kind of tough to watch.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't have like a huge reaction to it like you guys did. So the thing that stood out to me the most that that evoked the most memory was just the costume, including Splinter's costume, which was, well, I'm sorry, I said Splinter's costume. Splinter's, the puppet Splinter.
Right.
Just the way that they all looked in general. Which, you want to talk about Splinter? He looks great. Right?
Yeah, he looked better than what I thought I remembered. I'll say that.
Yes. Yeah. Even though his fingers scared the shit out of me.
The fingers were bad. The fingers were bad. Yes.
The fingers, I was like, does he even have a middle finger? What's going on with this guy? But I actually did think he looked better than I remembered. Yeah, they did him. I think they did him okay.
What's wrong with his fingers? I didn't I didn't see this.
I don't know. They look
ugly,
like,
man.
They look like,
okay.
Like some damn like face hugger legs.
Gotcha.
Yeah, when he's stroking April's face when she's coming to.
Oh.
Like, God, dog.
Want some tea?
You know what? I was anticipating him saying something, right?
I was too. I was like, is he gonna say?
Oh.
But he was he was still the first person she saw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she did have a very acceptable reaction.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
5-foot rat. These guys were big too. Like I was thinking about it as I was watching it. I was like, damn, these turtles are not just jacked, but they're tall.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Keeping with that, as far as kind of what you were saying, Robert, about the costumes, how do you guys feel about the turtles? I know we talked about Splinter, but what about the turtles?
I thought turtle costumes look
good
great.
too.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely I was looking. I could see like where the neck met the head, but stuff like that. But it didn't even bug me.
Right.
Like this shit looked good in my opinion. Like I thought it was killer. I mean, this would be a killer ass like Halloween costume,
Robert.
But he overall, like I was really impressed with the quality of the puppetry, because he's basically a life-size puppet, and he moves very naturally. I thought.
Yeah, he moved pretty good. It wasn't robotic or overtly slow, although they didn't have him do too much moving, like on the scene on the rooftop. I couldn't remember what was going to happen, but I did expect him to like maybe jump kick Shredder or something, but no, he just stood there. And then the close-up, they did a close-up, zoomed in on him when he actually did the maneuver to knock him off the roof. So I guess he didn't do too much. There wasn't much agility shown there, but what they did show, I think I agree with you. It's pretty good. Way better than I thought it was.
Yes. Yeah. Another thing about Splinter. So speaking of Splinter, the origins of him and the Turtles are different from the cartoon. There still is the mutagen, of course, but in this version, Splinter's master was Hamato Yoshi.
Oh yes.
Mm-hmm.
Which we'll talk about. We'll talk about. We'll talk about in a minute. We'll return to that. But Splinter himself was not Hamato Yoshi. He was Hamato Yoshi's pet rat. And long story short, again, we'll get to the specifics, but long story short, he like was in a sewer later when he was no longer his pet, and then he just kind of happened upon this ooze as at the same time that these random turtles were, and then they all kind of just hit the ooze and came up. But he did not used to be a human. He was just a rat that got turned into human like form by the ooze, which by the way, it's labeled radioactive material. It doesn't say mutagen or anything like that in the movie when it kind of shows a little flashback. But so the story of Splinter and Hamato Yoshi is that Hamato Yoshi and Oroku Saki, who is Shredder, they basically were in love with the same girl. But the girl liked the girl basically chose Hamato Yoshi of the two.
Well, that was the breaking point. They had a standing rivalry leading up to that.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. Thank you. They did have a standing rivalry as ninjas.
And it wasn't friendly. Yeah, it was antagonistic.
Yes. She chose him, and one day Splinter, or Shredder rather, Oroku Saki showed up to kill him. And he did. And he cut Splinter's ear off at the time. Splinter's still just a little actual little rat. And then Splinter, am I getting these out of order? Did he attack Shredder first, or did Shredder cut his ear off first?
He attacked Shredder first. Like he saw first. Like his master got dropped, and then he attacked Shredder.
He jumped on him and like clawed at his face and gave him a big scar.
Yes.
Then Shredder tried to kill him, but he ended up just chopping his ear off. And then Splinter ran off. Now, the part we got to talk about is Split. So the question you might ask if you haven't seen this is, well, where did Splinter get all his ninja knowledge from? Splinter, as a real, just normal ass rat, just did ninja moves watching his master Hamato Yoshi practice ninja moves.
Just like stands up in his cage one day. He's just like, whoa.
Just standing in his cage doing all these like badass ninja moves. This rat just standing in his cage doing karate chops and kicks and stuff. And it shows this.
Oh yeah, that's stuck with me.
They had the nerve to show it. Yeah.
Yeah, they were like, we're gonna double down on this ninja rat.
It was equally hilarious and awesome.
Oh, for a second I was like, how the hell did this rat get to New York from Japan? And then I was like, oh wait, no, he came with Hamato. Because Hamato took his girl and they went to New York.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
to start a new life. And then apparently Shredder was just so salty. He followed them all the way to New York to murk their asses.
And so, yeah, Splinter's telling the story, and it does like this kind of flashback, and it just shows this little rat like, like doing all these moves, and it was like it sounds incredibly stupid, and it is,
and it looked, but it actually dumb as well.
It looked dumb, but it also looked cool at the same time.
It's like this little stop motion rat.
That's
yeah, it's a stop motion rat. And imagine, like, what are the chances that the one rat who's ever been able to imitate ninja moves happens to also be the rat who gets mutated by the mutagen? Like, he just hit the damn jackpot in life. Yeah.
Yeah, the stars aligned for this guy. I mean, like, Hamato Yoshi should have stayed. Like, if he had lived, he could just like pimp this rat out. Like, just gone on the circuit, be like on Dr. Phil and shit.
Yeah, no kidding.
On Oprah. Yeah, I mean, this is like the rat that's the equivalent of that frog that's like, hello, my darling.
Nice.
Like, that's what's his name? WB Frog or something like that. But yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, that's the same setup. And then the rat decides, he's like, oh, I found these 4 turtles, and now I'm going to teach them how to be ninjas too.
Mm-hmm. It's a good thing my master was a ninja, and I copied his moves just as a regular ass rat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, aren't all rats like me? Yeah, like no, bro, they are not.
God. That was something else.
Yeah, that's probably, if he wasn't such a special rat, he probably wouldn't have been able. Like, imagine like the pants shitting Shredder was doing when he saw this rat that he's like, what? You're that rat that cut my face 20 years ago? Like, first of all, how are you alive? And how are you now 6 feet tall?
Yeah, how did this work out?
Yeah.
And people are after me? Like,
right, I'm the monster here?
yeah, I have these even like anthropomorphic turtles over here, like walking around kicking my ass. And then this old rat, like, no. No wonder the man charged at it.
Great scene.
The demise of Shredder is probably just like some sort of like emotional reaction. He's just like, ah. It's like fight or flight at that point. He's like,
just an existential crisis.
yeah, he's just like mind snapped. He's like, all right, I've been dealing with these 4 Ninja Turtles. Like, that's one level of crazy. Now this ancient rat is fighting me that knows me from Japan. I'm like, what? This is bullshit. Like, no. So he goes after the rat. And this is how like Shredder ends. Like, you know, he's got this epic showdown with the turtles on the rooftop eventually, because they find his hideout to free Splinter, and each one of them, I don't know why heroes like to do this. They won't go one at a time against the villain instead of like, you know, we're a team, guys. Like, you know, we could definitely whoop his ass, and even he acknowledges
just go at him.
But they decide to go 1-on-1 against this guy, and of course he like drops them all. I think the one that had the best, in my opinion, the one that did the best was probably Leonardo, because he actually got a hit on him.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Cutting with a sword, yeah.
And but Leonardo's also the one that gets laid on his ass, and he's used as bait to like get the others to like give up their weapons. And Shredder even says, like, you know, the 3 of you could have probably rushed me and overcome me. He's like, you had a chance, but now you're all dead. And then he goes to like murk Leo. And Splinter shows up at the edge of the building, and he like calls him out. He's like, Orokusaki, and he like challenges him, basically tells him what's up. He's like, I know who you are. And it's one of the few times where I've seen a person in a situation like Leonardo, where they're like, you know, got a gun on him or a knife on him, actually get the hell out of the way once the bad guy's distracted, instead of just stand there still.
A good catch.
Yeah, I was just like, oh shit, the dude actually moved. Unlike everybody else I've ever seen in this situation. And Shredder decides, like, you know, he has a back and forth with Splinter. And then he goes ahead and charges at him with this like giant spear he'd been using. And as Robert described earlier, Splinter does a little ninja sidestep and like catches it with his like nunchuck. Shredder's hanging off the side of this, like, I don't know, like 10-story building, 8-story building or something. He's letting like Splinter talk, because he's like, you know, trying to do one of his isms and like give him like a moral of the story. And like most rational people, myself included, he's like reaching for a knife to like shut this damn rat up. And Splinter is able to actually like catch it like as it gets thrown at him, which is like totally dope. But then like at the same time he lets go of like, doesn't he like let go of the nunchuck to catch the knife?
I think that's what I saw.
Yeah.
Even though really he didn't have to, but I guess he's like older and he's like been like tortured for last week, so makes sense.
Yeah.
Somebody like drops the nunchuck, catches the knife. Shredder falls in the back of a well-placed dump truck or garbage truck that was put there by Casey Jones.
Did he put it there?
Mm-hmm. He didn't put it there necessarily for the Shredder. He did it because he backed it up to knock off the foot soldiers that had been climbing up to join the fight.
Oh, wow. Okay. I didn't remember that. Okay.
So Casey put it there. Shredder falls into it. And without anybody saying anything, Casey turns on the compactor. He's like, oops.
Yeah, he just straight up kills him.
Mm-hmm. So now we're on the hook for murder. Like,
just casually crushes him to death.
This is the main part of this whole scenario that I remember, just seeing Shredder's helmet getting crushed. And I'm like, wait, I remember as a kid, I'm like, I was asking my uncle, is Shredder dead?
Oh,
you just kill him?
By all standards, he's his ass as dead as Dillinger.
Oh.
Yeah, Casey stood by that vigilante moniker.
Mm.
Yeah, he did.
I'm like, all right, Punisher.
Yeah, for real.
Tell me what you guys think. I thought Shredder looked pretty lame.
I felt he looked lame in this sequence. He didn't, because you really get a good look at his frame and everything, and he didn't fill out that
sequin gown he was wearing.
Sequins, yeah, it was sequins gown. But I thought like the actor though, I thought he did a good job expressing with his eyes. So head up, I thought Shredder looked really good. But his ending sequence, because I didn't remember this at all, this fight on top of the roof at all. And when I saw him charge, just the camera angle and the guy's expression when he was charging Splinter with the spear, that looked terrible, man. He looked really lame, uncool. So that part looked pretty bad to me. But other than that, I thought he was all right. But I did not like that ending.
I thought he was cool when he had the cape.
Yeah.
I thought that added like weight to him, like a little more, like it filled him out, like it made him look more imposing.
I think that the fill out thing that you guys have mentioned was that plus the sequin gown, but like he was way too skinny
for that, yeah,
to be Shredder.
Yeah, he's on the lean side for sure.
He's like, yeah, and again, you don't see his kind of whole body most of the time, but like when does finally show, like, this is it.
Yeah,
like, dude.
Yeah,
you're not big enough to be Shredder.
No, Shredder's jacked, not this dude.
but that's crazy because it's like, really, I mean, I agree with you. Like Shredder is jacked, like he's buff, and he fills out, his outfits or whatever. But it's just like, if you think about it, like a ninja's not going to be buff. He's going to be like super lean and like toned, and like he'll be strong, but he's not going to be bulky.
But see, I think I think that's part of. I kind of take that as part of the character. He's not. Shredder's obviously very powerful, but I feel like he doesn't have the discipline to just be a ninja, and that's part of why he's so bulky. Is because he's just using his strength to make up for his lack of discipline.
Interesting take.
Yeah, I never thought about that.
Well, regardless, he's not the ripped Shredder that we're used to.
No, he's not.
The only one other like, this is a very minor thing. It's just one single line. Actually, it's one single word that I'll complain about. That really caught me off guard. Just because of how weird and kind of awkward it was. When Splinter gets captured, and Turtles go home and they find that he's missing and their place is kind of ransacked. They go to April to get help. Did any of you guys catch this? Do any of y'all know what I'm about to say?
No.
They go to April's to get help, and they're all at her door, and April opens the door. She goes, "What's wrong?" Leonardo goes, "Splinter." That's it. And then it like cuts to another scene or something like that.
Okay,
it was
I got you. Yeah.
It was the weakest delivery of and like, of course he's supposed to be like sad and worried, but he sounds like just the biggest wimp the way he's saying it, and big huge baby, and that's literally all he says. Like he can't even get out that that like Splinter is missing or like something happened to him. Just Splinter.
Wow.
Wow, it's ragging on
That's
Leo.
Leonardo too. He's supposed to be keeping everybody keep morale up.
Yeah, that's the Leo I know, actually.
Yeah, okay, maybe so. Maybe right. He is a big kind of like a simp for Splinter, so maybe that's it.
Well, speaking of that, like, how did you guys feel about the Splinterisms in this movie and the whole telepathic link that they have with the meditation and, channeling him?
The fire scene, what the hell was that?
Yeah, how do you guys feel about all of that?
I didn't mind it.
It just kind of worked.
Like as much shit as we give him for doing it in the cartoon, like
you didn't mind it
like
in the movie.
Just kind of. Yeah, I don't know why. I didn't really mind
the ESP thing. It was like neither here nor there for me. I was just like, all right, whatever. Like, But the isms, I actually felt like Splinter-isms in this movie made sense more so than I feel like they do in the cartoon.
Yeah.
Soon we may be searing our ancestors. It's like, bro, I'm not trying to die.
Yeah. Right.
But in this one, he's trying to like calm down Raphael, who's got obviously an anger management problem. And he's just like, you need to calm down. I'm here for you. Your brothers are here for you. He's like, you should talk, give him like a pep talk, like, heart to heart, father son thing, which is cool. Makes sense. He's not telling him, some bullshit. So I was like, all right, I like this.
And also, it wasn't used as a kind of a cop out. It's like, it doesn't feel like the writers wrote themselves into a corner and they're like, well, how's Splinter going to find the Ninja Turtles? Oh, he's going to use his ESP. There, we got it. All right, just run with it. But in this one, he doesn't even tell them like how to find it. It doesn't solve anything plot wise. It purely is there to kind of be a sort of like an emotional moment.
Yeah.
When they are able to kind of contact him and talk with him. And I think that because of that, it's like, okay, wow, this is they're doing this for story, and they're not doing it because they've written themselves into a hole and can't figure out how to get out of it.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I feel like it would work because of that. And like also he even kind of like alludes to the fact like you guys still have things to learn as ninjas. You got one more lesson or something like that. So I think that kind of like set it up for some sort of moment where they'd be reaching out.
Yeah. Agree.
Now, do you guys remember anything around the movie itself, like in terms of like campaigns or like tie-ins, merchandising, anything like that? Because I do remember for some reason, I guess it's why, because they spent so much damn money on it. Pizza Hut was like totally into this movie.
Yes. So what was it? So why did they have Domino's?
I don't know, but Pizza Hut I looked it up. Pizza Hut spent $20 million campaign on this thing.
Wow.
And it's Domino's in the goddamn movie. So I don't know what's up with that.
Interesting.
I was like, did Domino's do the promotion? But obviously they didn't. So I was a little thrown for a loop on that one.
And that was at the height of the pizza wars back then.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, that was brutal. Yeah.
I don't really remember much about
wars. I love how you throw that out there. Like, it's real. Like, it's a thing. It's part of our culture. But it was just like, we talk about it like it's Demolition Man, like the franchise wars and Taco Bell survived.
Right.
Like, yeah. Now Pizza Hut went all in, and they had like the restaurants and stuff like that. And yeah, I remember vividly like seeing the merchandising tied in with that stuff. I could have swore I had a VHS or like not a VHS, but like something that had like a Pizza Hut like branded TMNT thing on it.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, maybe it might have been a poster or something, but yeah.
I just don't remember much at all from as far as marketing wise surrounding it.
Same. I did have the I showed you guys this some time ago, the Coming Out of Our Shells tour cassette tape.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, we're gonna have to do that someday for the podcast.
I don't know who we are.
People, if y'all out there and y'all was down with this whole album like I was, get in touch. Because I listened to this cassette tape, front to back. I wore the tape out. Like I literally wore it out. That's how much I listened to it.
Great.
And I think that was, I can't remember, I can't place it if it was after the first movie or maybe the second movie, but it spawned because they had the same costumes as the movie. So I know that was the biggest thing that I remember about, because I'm trying to, as you said that, I'm trying to remember, do I remember like pictures of them on cereal boxes or even toys that came out for the movie figures or whatever? I can't remember. I'm with Robert. I can't remember any of the marketing or even commercials. Only thing I do remember is the line Mikey said was, it's good being a turtle or something like that he yelled.
Oh, I love being a turtle.
That's it. Yes. Like,
oh yeah,
that was all
yeah.
over the place. But that's all I remember, which is odd and kind of unfortunate. I was hoping that this would spark some of those, moments of just normal life where this kind of seeped into your memory or not. But no. that ties into something I wanted to ask you guys. I know we kind of talked about our hype leading up to it, but do you remember your first time seeing it in the theater? And if you do, what was that like? Like how?
Not at all.
Oh man, no. Okay.
Nope, I got nothing.
Nothing. Like,
damn. Okay. Not who you were with or nothing like that.
I don't remember seeing it in the theater. I don't remember being with anybody. I had to because, I mean, I was a turtle kid, but
yeah,
I don't.
You don't want with the good memory, man. Come on now.
I know, but for some reason that one,
man,
that whole setup eludes me.
Dang. What about you, Robert?
Nope, same.
Oh man.
I'm certain I saw it with my mom and dad and sister because that was just whenever there was a movie that we went to, that was just how we did it. Right. We just all went out, yeah. But that's just purely based on like reason that I remember that's how it would have been.
Wow.
I don't remember. I really just don't remember going to see it. I remember that I did see it. I remember liking it and all. Yeah. And again, I remembered, like specifically the way that the turtles looked and all that, but I don't remember anything about going to see
the actual day and the circumstance. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, I remember Raph in his trench and getting knocked into a trash can.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
Wow. Well, the most forgetful and memory challenged person here, I do remember the day that I went to go see it because it was out of nowhere. My uncle, and he was like, my relationship with my uncles, I had two uncles back then, and we all lived in the same like building. It was a 2-flat apartment type situation. My grandparents, along with my two uncles, lived downstairs, and me and my mom lived upstairs. So my uncles were always out and about in the streets, doing their thing out there in the gang banging and all this stuff. Well, maybe I shouldn't say that. Might be some police still looking for him. But anyway, like out of nowhere, he would just do things. Like one day he took me to Funko Land, and we spent that entire day just going around buying video games, all these different stores. So he would do random things like that. And this one, he came to the house because he, wasn't there a lot, but he came home and he had his girlfriend at the time with him. And they brought back these, I'll never forget. It was like these burritos that were filled to the brim with ground beef and onions and peppers. And that's all that was on those burritos. No cheese or anything like that. And I remember the taste of that burrito still and how big it was. And out of nowhere, they're like, okay, get dressed or whatever. We're going to be going to see the turtles at whatever time. And I remember, not exactly knowing if he was messing around or not, or, what to really feel, because I was also shy because his girlfriend was there or whatever. And I remember just like not saying anything, just getting up from the table and going to get dressed. And sure enough, I come back downstairs and they're waiting on me. And one of the most special parts about it was that he had this old, I don't remember the year, but an old Firebird, Trans Am, I'm sorry, with the bird on the hood. And it was the gold, like Smokey and the Bandit, yeah. But his was gold with the black trim.
Okay, cool.
And that thing was loud, and he had his sound system in there, and it was like no back seat. I was just sitting on the bucket type seat situation or whatever. And we were going in this thing, and I couldn't hear anything. And it's just this anticipation was all building up. Like, I didn't know when I was going to see the movie. Like I said in the beginning, I just knew I was going to see it. I did not expect to go see it with him and his girlfriend. And we get in there, man, and I'm like, I'm nervous because I don't go do this kind of stuff with him that often. So I'm trying to be cooler than I usually am because this is my uncle and it's a big deal and all that kind of stuff, and try not to look too much like a kid and all this stupid stuff that kids do, And then just seeing a movie with him, he had to tell me I remember Master Tatsu. There's a scene where he's telling the kids, a kid bumped into him in the little hideout or whatever. And he just looks at him and he says, "Go play." And he gestures with his hands, like just a running gesture with his hands. And that's it. But that day as a kid, I found that uncontrollably funny. So I'm in the theater just laughing at this. And as the scene has gone past, minutes pass, I'm sitting there still giggling and sniggling. And I remember my uncle telling me, "Boy, shut up." And I was all embarrassed, and I'm like,
bro, you gotta chill.
Yeah. I could not stop laughing. And I have no idea why that was so funny to me. But it was, and it stayed funny to me for a long time. Anyway, but no, I remember that day so vividly, man. It was,
this kid just like starts laughing for 5 minutes in the movie theater. It was like, what is he even laughing?
Exactly.
What did I
Nobody
miss?
else
Yeah.
was laughing. Nobody else was laughing. But I was a dumb kid like that anyway. But yeah, so I don't know, man. That's one of the things that makes this movie kind of, even though I couldn't remember any of it hardly. It's just I remember the day more than I remember seeing the movie. And I was kind of hoping that you guys had similar stories of, because that's kind of the thing with going back and doing this podcast, watching some of the episodes and stuff like that. You kind of remember not just bits and pieces of the episode, but things that were going on, bits and pieces of things in your life at the time as a kid, just where you were watching an episode, who was around. You had just done your homework or whatever, or you shirked your homework, just a different circumstances surrounding the episode or whatever that you were watching. This movie is that for me in a big way. So it holds a special place in my heart, just because that was one of the very few things that I ever got to do with my uncle. You know what I mean? I mean, he's still around or whatever, but I didn't get to do that kind of stuff. So that really stood out to me. I don't know. Sorry to go on that rant, but I just like, when those kinds of things come back, because it's important. And I think it's kind of precious to have things like that attached to some of your favorite things, like franchises or toys or games. So I don't know. Mm-hmm. Forgive me for being all sappy and sentimental,
nostalgic. No, it's very cool. No, it's and I agree with this, the sentiment of like, part of the podcast, in the sense of like hoping that, by going through the motions that we go through with this, like watching what we watch, or, we're talking about it, like it will, uncover or trigger some sort of like, not repressed memory, but like, a memory where it was just like, oh shit, yeah, I remember I was eating like Fruit Loops this day, and like this happened, and I fucking stepped on a Lego, exactly. And like I was all, we're like, oh, exactly. I just got grounded, but they let me not be grounded to watch it. Mm-hmm. But yeah,
yeah, I love hearing stories like that.
Yeah, 100%. Sure. But that's really cool, Mike. But no, unfortunately, this one was a fucking black hole for me. I don't remember jack shit about it except the actual movie, in the sense of like seeing it the first time or at the theater. As a kid, though, obviously I'd seen it many times because I had to own it, and I remember what we've talked about so far.
Yeah.
But no, it's and also I think for any turtle fan or not, I think for most people in our generation have seen this movie, and would have some sort of memory one way or another.
Definitely.
Now, I don't know about you guys, but did you guys pick up any? I only saw one or caught one Easter eggs. I know this is maybe like Easter eggs before they were Easter eggs, but
no.
I've got the one. I think it's probably the same one you have, but I have, like Robert had with Mayhem, I think I have one that might be reaching, but I'm not sure. So I'll let you guys go.
Okay. Well, no, you go ahead, Mike. Throw it out there and we'll see if it's the same one I have.
It's the Lairdman Island.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Now check this.
Oh, wait, what was that?
Yeah, you described it, Chris, because I can't remember.
Yeah, no, it was Sam Rockwell, the head punk or whatever. This is at the very end of the movie. The chief or some cop is like talking to him, asking him for like, tell me what's going on, like blah blah blah. And he and maybe this is me reaching, but I think it expanded past just the Laird, like Peter Laird, like nod, because he says it's the East Warehouse at Lairdman Islands. So it's like you got East.
No, I think that's probably. I think that's got to be on purpose.
And Laird in the same one. So yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was the Eastman was included with the man at the end of Lairdman, but no, that's much better. Wow.
I was thinking that too. But yeah, I rewatched it a second time. I was just like, oh, East Warehouse at Lairdman. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, nice one, guys. Yeah. I always think it's neat because it's like, I don't feel like they really, maybe this is me being uninformed, but I don't feel like they ever really, those two guys have much contribution to anything like past what they actually do, and in the sense of like being, you know, advisors or, you know, consultants or, you know, writing or anything. So I always think it's awesome when I see nods like this to either of them, because it's like they don't have to do that shit, like but it's cool that they like recognize the creator.
What's also cool about these Easter eggs on these very old movies, especially those that are references to the makers, is that this was in a time where this was in a time where 99% of people would not catch that, but they put it in anyway. Just it almost is like a sign of respect. Whereas nowadays, everybody's going to know about it because one person's going to find out about it and say something on the internet, and everybody's going to read it.
Yeah,
but
true.
obviously, that didn't happen back then. So, like, much fewer people were going to actually catch that reference and you know, things like that. But they put it in anyway.
No shit, 1990. Like, you're only going to have actual like fans, like comic book fans, because they ain't gonna, like, anybody watch a cartoon ain't gonna know shit either, unless they were original comic book fans. So yeah,
good point.
The other one that this is, like I said, this might be reaching, but Splinter did the "I made a funny" line.
Oh yeah, he did.
Yes,
that he said in the cartoon.
Bunga.
Yeah.
Now, did you? I made a list of all the words at the end that they were trying to. Or that they ran
Nice.
through, because like Leo, I think, starts out with like awesome, and then bodacious is Michelangelo, bitchin', which caught me off guard, was Raphael.
Yeah,
and then like Donnie's sitting there, he's like trying to think of one, and I maybe this plays back into earlier scene in the movie, because like Michelangelo is like trying to like come up with a pun with like a shell shock. Oh, he got shell shocked, or he got like this. And like Donnie was like kind of like critiquing it, and he's like, "Oh, that's too like, you know, derivative. That's too like cliche." And so it's like, okay, he's like the like the connoisseur of like wordplay. So he's like sitting here now, and he's like, "No," and then like they're throwing out like gnarly, radical, totally tubular, wicked, hellacious, and then Splinter comes up with cowabunga.
Very nice.
And then that becomes like their, you know, the awesome, like, you know, all hands in, you know, cheer, cowabunga.
Yes.
Yep. Solid ending.
Real quick, I don't know if this would be. These are more homages, I think, and I might be reaching with one of them as well. There's 3 of them that I caught or bothered to write down. In the very beginning, when April is doing a report, she does she says, "Crimes without criminals, an invisible gang at work. Who we gonna call?"
Oh yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Oh yeah, I was waiting for her to say, yeah, keep going with that one, but yeah.
Yeah. And Donatello in particular seemed to do a lot of nyak, 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 a lot of Three Stooges curly stuff, which was kind of cool because I love the Three Stooges. And then on the, I guess the movie that Raph went to see, now you guys tell me if I'm reaching here, it was Critters.
Yes.
Is that homage to Gremlins? Because it kind of looked like a gremlin.
Critters is a real movie.
Well, then screw me. Really?
it's yeah, there's like 3 or 4 of them, and it's all bad. But yes,
they're not
real.
good.
No, they are not good. That's, I mean, it's like, I'm glad Raphael was like, come on. But yeah, no, that's some good catches.
Oh, I'm sorry. One more. Narc was one of the games they were playing in the Hideout, which was one of my favorite games, actually.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that was a crazy looking like setup they had. Like that whole like, and to me, it just had very much Pinocchio, Island of Lost Boys kind of vibe. Like you're sitting there like smoking cigars, drinking, playing all like adult games and stuff like that. And it's just like all these like teenagers and kids trying to be adults or being like, you know, whatever. But then they end up foot soldiers.
You said, okay, I'm going to expose myself again here. I always thought it was Peter Pan and the island. I just
Oh no, you're not. No, Peter Pan has the Lost Boys, and that is correct with Rufio and all those guys and Tum Tum or whoever.
Okay,
that's real.
Okay,
but then there's Pinocchio, and there's the Island of Lost Boys, or maybe an Island of Lost Children. But I think it's the Island of Lost Boys because it's the only kind of child I see there. And in Pinocchio, these kids get lured there with like enticements of like drinking, gambling, smoking, whatever.
The heck?
But as longer they stay there, they turn into like it's a metaphor because in the movie they turn into jackasses like donkeys, and then they get sold to salt mines. But yeah,
This happens in Pinocchio.
Damn,
dude, Pinocchio's dark as shit. Like
I see.
That's. I mean, yeah, I grew up watching that movie, so whatever that says.
Grief.
But yeah, like Pinocchio is brutally dark. Like, yeah, it's like look it up. Yeah, I mean that's not even like considering Stromboli and the whale and all that other shit that happens in that movie.
I ain't old enough to watch that movie. I ain't gonna look it up.
Oh yeah, no, it's crazy. Like the kids like start like polymorphing. Like they grow a tail at first, and then like they get like hoofs, and then like a snout, and then like they start crying like I don't want to go. And then they get thrown into crates and sold away to a salt mine.
That's some heavy shit.
Yeah, that's what kids were showing back in the 50s or whatever.
Wow.
Well, is it time to rate this one?
Oh,
I'll tell you already. I'm gonna be.
I mean,
going
yeah,
high.
Yeah, I'm actually probably going to be aiming high too. Nostalgia factor is good, and I still think that it holds up. So I'm gonna give it a 9.
Wow,
and I know
nice.
I know this one smokes the other two. So,
does it beat the next one?
I think so. I think for me, one of the reasons why that is there's like the lack of like I don't feel like we had recurring characters other than the turtles.
Okay.
And so that bugs me when that happens.
So this movie had for me it was very mixed overall. Thought the costumes and the puppetry were all great. Like I said, especially for the time. Thought for the most part the characters were pretty good. Like I said, Shredder was kind of wimpy. Raphael's voice I just couldn't get past. There are some few weird parts here and there. One thing that I didn't really talk about is that I felt like overall the actual story was pretty weak.
Okay.
The whole thing was like, let's get Splinter back, and then let's let Raphael heal for a while we sit around and communicate with Splinter's spirit and this kind of stuff. The story I thought was very unintriguing, and I felt like it was pretty forced too. The way that like the rivalry between the Turtles and Shredder and all that, like it didn't feel very natural. They didn't do the necessary things to really make them become rivals. They just were kind of like, it was just kind of like, well, that's just how it is. Shredder and Turtles are rivals. So that's how this is going to be in this movie, but they didn't really set it up very well. I would give it a 6.
Oh,
but
wow. Based
on nostalgia and how well I feel like they generally respected the source material, I'm going to give it a 1-point boost and knock it up to 7. I feel like they handled the material well, but they did not put it in a good story.
Okay.
Well, interesting. I honestly didn't expect that.
I didn't either. I thought I was going to come in with a 9 or like an 8 or 9 like you guys. But as I was watching, I was just like, this movie, I appreciate what they're doing, but just as a movie in general, this just isn't a very good movie. I felt like.
Okay. I feel you. Yeah. And that's with the nostalgia you added in.
Yeah, that's with an extra nostalgia point.
Extra nostalgia
unfortunately.
Point. Wow. Okay. So a 9, a 7, and a 10.
10.
I'm going to give it a 10. I'm taking away the nostalgia. And I'm putting myself in my kid's shoes. I'm not going to rate this one as an adult sitting here watching this movie. Because I'm thinking of it I'm sitting there watching it, today. And I'm like, this probably blew my mind as a kid loving the Ninja Turtles. I'm seeing them on the big screen looking like I've never seen them look before. They're in live action. They're moving around.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they can be touched. They can be, smelled or whatever you want to say, whatever. They're tactile. They're real. And I was not, wasn't young enough to think, oh, these are real people. These are real turtles walking around. I knew that they were in costume or whatever, but the spectacle of it all, not just visually, but the epic, because I thought the story was, I do feel you as an adult sitting here, yes, critiquing the movie as an adult, which is probably what I should be doing, but I'm not going to do it for this. As an adult, was it a good movie with great plot and great writing? No, it was 90s cookie cutter stuff, if you want to be honest. But as a kid, seeing all my favorite characters, seeing Casey, the stuff that they were doing, the fight scenes were amazing from kids' eyes. They were pretty good as an adult. The scope of what was happening, Shredder gets kidnapped, Raphael gets beaten to within an inch of his life, Leo's trying to keep it together. Seeing the turtles cry, that's not something that you would ever expect to see. I'm basing my 10 on a little kid sitting there having their turtle loving life changed by this movie, which is what happened for a lot of the kids back then, So a solid 10 for me. I don't think that they could have done a Turtles movie better than they did in 1990, when the main thing that we knew was the cartoon. I think they knocked this out of the park 100%. So 10 for me.
Wow.
That's heavy. I like it though. No, I think it's cool.
Yeah, that's great.
I mean, I get that, I should probably be doing like you guys and rating it as an adult. I do rate the cartoons as that way.
I think you rate what's important to you.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing though? And this is a legit question. For what we're doing, rating these things as adults, looking back on this stuff. I mean, should I tone down the personal whatevers? This is a legit question I'm posing out there.
I think these ratings for our purpose are our own personal thoughts, regardless of anything else, as to how much we liked it for whatever reason. We're not writing movie reviews for a newspaper to explain whether other people will like it or not.
Right.
Which certainly has its own place, but that's not, I don't see that as what we're doing. I think this is supposed to be just a much more personal, like, this is how much I enjoyed this movie for whatever reason that might be.
Okay. Good. I feel all right then.
I concur. Yeah.
Excellent. All right, man. Wow. So, and what did Mayhem get out of curiosity? Do you remember?
8, a 10, and a 10.
Oh, wow.
So actually, this is the biggest spread we've had so far between 7 and a 10. This is the first time any of us have been more than 2 points away from somebody else's score on anything.
Wow.
Yeah. Again, I was very surprised at your score.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank God for nostalgia.
Hey, for real, I'm gonna give it a 6.
Came in and saved the day on this one.
No doubt.
Well, damn. There's the 1990 movie.
Yeah. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Actually, apparently it had let me see here, an original budget of $13.5 million, and it came away with 202.
102. Wow.
That's crazy for back then.
202.
202.
Yeah. Yeah, the sequel did not fare as well.
Oh, did it not?
No, it had a budget. It ballooned up to like 25 and only made 75.
Huh. Oh, okay. I'm interested. I know there's other thing. The second movie I know will not be the next non-episode that we do, because I think we kind of just talked about we want to finally take a look at some comics and maybe probably get back to another game or something. But when we do come back around I'm very interested to see how good that movie is, because I think at least back in the day, I liked that one. That was kind of my favorite one of these.
Low-key Vanilla Ice fan over here.
Vanilla Ice fan. I remember what am I trying to say? Like I remember I have more images in my head from the second movie than from the first one. Like where they're in that room and they're scrolling through the computer screen trying to find out about the mutagen. Of course, Taka and Razor, Super Shredder. Like I just remember more about that one.
I remember Super Shredder and his ending, and I remember a scene with Leonardo throwing up his katanas into the ceiling and kicking somebody. That's all I remember.
Okay. I remember Taka, and I don't remember which one of it is. Might have been Taka going. I don't even remember the context, but somebody's trying to give him a treat or something, and they were like, "Here, you want?" I guess it's probably one of the turtles, and they're like, "Here, you want some num nums?" And he goes, "Num nums."
Nice.
Wow. None of this is ringing a bell to me.
And I remember there was like a pizza boy, human pizza boy. It was like a friend of theirs, I think.
Oh yeah, doesn't he I feel like he has kind of a, like a supporting part.
I guess.
Like you said, he's like you said, he's more of a friend. Like there's a pizza delivery guy, but he does more than just deliver a pizza, like in this one.
Yeah. This guy, that's all he did. Yeah. So we'll definitely come up on that one eventually. But yeah, I think next I think comic book would be a good one. Which one? We don't know.
I think it's time.
Anybody out there listening, if you have a suggestion on which, turtle run we should read, drop us a line. You can, catch us at turtles@coolbutrude.com. Any last words, guys? Anything else before we wrap this one up?
I got the last one sitting down there in the box.
Oh,
I just
all right.
bought.
Well, maybe that's it. Maybe we'll do the last run, unless anybody has anything else to say different.
We should tell the listeners what our plans are for the next little bit.
Yes. Looks like we are going to be, just for the holidays, taking a little bit of a break. We're on a small hiatus here, but we will be back. I think we're going to be starting live again, recording again, either the 27th of December or January 3rd. So around there, we'll be getting some new material out to you, everybody. And so obviously the week after, we can download the latest episode.
Yeah, and that'll be starting season 3.
Yeah, we'll be doing the opening of the season 3, episode 1 premiere. So,
Beneath These Streets.
Oh, I think that might finally be Rat King.
That'd be dope. I've been waiting.
Sounds like
that. You think it is?
Rat King. Shouldn't there be a direct correlation to something and like affecting Splinter?
What do you mean by that?
He's a fucking rat, and he's the Rat King. Shouldn't there be like a correlation? Like, shouldn't the episode focus on like the Rat King is doing something and like Splinter becomes possessed and like?
I believe that's exactly what happens.
Right.
Oh,
very,
no shit.
Very hazy memory of, I want to say him playing some kind of like a Pied Piper type situation.
Yes.
Yeah,
like that.
I remember that. I remember him having an instrument. Yeah. And it does affect Splinter?
I'm pretty positive, yeah.
Nice. Man, I'm looking forward to this.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is a classic villain, and anything that messes with Splinter is tight.
Of course.
I mean, I definitely prefer movie Splinter or cartoon Splinter.
Oh, 100%.
I see.
Sweet. So, all right, everybody. Other than that, I hope everybody has a happy holiday.
We'll see y'all soon.
Peace.
See you guys.